There is a lot of things to choose from in Debroken, one of these things being oaths. Now oaths are one of the main things that actually separates your builds from other builds by having access to a lot of unique passives, mantras and talents. Therefore it can be hard to choose which oath would be the best for you. I've decided to take it into my hands to rank every single oath in the game from S to D, to give you a perspective of what I believe to be the best oath. Now this tier list is mainly going to be focused around ganking and overall fights, but I will also be making a chime tier list at the end of the video, so yeah. I will also be ranking the brand no oath Chain Warden, so yeah, keep watching for that. Now before I do start this tier list, please do consider subscribing and liking the video as that will help my channel a lot. Also comment what you think of this list, and yeah, let's just get into the video. Starting off with the first oath to get introduced to the game, we have Blindseer. Blindseer is overall a very good oath with access to a lot of great moves such as Silas Beam, Tranquil Circle and Mind Soothe. Not only is Blindseer good for fighting, but it can also offer an extremely good oath for support, as Mind Soothe can heal a bunch of people for 60 HP each. Overall, Blindseer is just a very good oath, so I'll place it in the A tier. Moving on to the next oath, we got Visionshaper. Visionshaper is overall a very good oath with a lot of cool and unique moves that can stall and be very annoying in a fight. If you use a weapon that has a pretty good critical, this will automatically make Visionshaper a bit better, since your clones can pretty much just mimic your critical and cause a lot of havoc. Visionshaper is also very good for depth skanking, as you can prevent people from jumping in the void and escaping. Therefore, I'll put Visionshaper in the A tier. Next up on the list, we got Arcwarder. Now Arcwarder is one of those oaths that work very well on certain builds than others. A reason for this is the talent that pretty much just nullifies every enchant effect you get hit by, but also your own weapon. Therefore it works extremely well with legendary weapons that can't be enchanted, such as the Storm's Eye, Pikekeeper, and Crypt Blade, and even Hero Blades. Since it's pretty much free, since this talent doesn't really count on weapons like the Curve Blade, which applies Aftercut and etc. Arcwarder also only has 2 moves besides the suit, and the only one that's really good is Arcwave, so yeah, I'll put this in the B tier. For the next oath on the list, we have Contractor. Contractor is an extremely good oath, mainly for its 2 abilities, Lord Slice and Judgment. Now Judgment may not seem that great at first, since if you catch somebody, their friend can just come and hit you and get them out of there. But if the Judgment is successful, you could potentially set up a combo with other strong moves. Just watch this clip. A tier. Moving on to probably the most popular oath, Dawnwalker. Now Dawnwalker is a pretty good oath overall with some nice moves and passives, but in ganks particular, Dawnwalker doesn't really stand out all that much as there's just far better options. The only thing Dawnwalker really has going for it is Radiant Kick to catch runners, but other than that, I don't really see any point in using it. B tier. For the next oath, we have Jetstriker. Jetstriker recently got a much needed rework, which pretty much just made it even more powerful than it already was. It was given 2 new moves which are extremely powerful to this day. Now even though these moves are great and all, I don't really think this is the reason why Jetstriker is so powerful. I think that the main part is just Jetstriker's ability to run and scale mountains, since this can be super useful and annoying in ganks if you want to save your teammate or just chase after other runners. Therefore this oath will be the first one to go into the S tier. Moving on to a more support-oriented oath, we have Linkstrider. Linkstrider is an extremely good oath, which offers a ton of support in ganks and can save your teammates multiple times in a gank. Linkstrider also has some hidden features that you may not know about, such as decreasing the enemy's damage by 20% while linked, and increasing your teammate's damage 20% while linked. There's a lot more to talk about with Linkstrider, so let me know if you guys want a fully dedicated video to it. Now one of the things needed to be a good Linkstrider is to be pretty good at the game, and always know who to heal and when to run. Therefore, it's a hard choice, but I've decided to put it into the A tier, although it could easily be an S tier with the right person using it. Next up is Saltchemist. Now Saltchemist is probably the best oath in the entire game for ganks, and before you disagree, allow me to explain. With Saltchemist you can have some extremely good potions which decrease all damage dealt to you by 50% for 30 seconds. Now that is pretty insane, as that means that every M1 that would normally do 10% would only do 5% while this potion is active. And not to mention the fact that as soon as this potion runs out, you can just throw another one. Saltchemist also has some other good options, such as insanity potions, which makes the affected person be stunned and lose 5% every 30 seconds. This is just some of the stuff that Saltchemist has access to, but there's a lot more. As I stated earlier, this will be going into the S tier without a doubt, as the best oath for ganking. Moving on to the newest oath added to the game, we have Chain Warden. Although this oath seems kind of unfinished, it's still got 2 new talents, so I think it's in a decent enough spot to be ranked. Chain Warden's gimmick is pretty much to apply chains to your opponent to make it harder for them to move, and you have some abilities to complement that. One thing very nice about Chain Warden is the move Rupture, which can set up some nice combos, but other than that, I don't really see a lot of things to do with this oath. Therefore, I'll put Chain Warden into the B tier. Hopefully it gets a new mantra or some new talent to make it stand out a bit more. Moving on to a pretty underrated oath, we have Starkindred. Now Starkindred used to rule the comp scene with its nice dashes and overpowered moves, but after the nerfs, everyone just seemed to forget about it. The reason to this being the much better options such as Dawnwalker, Jetstriker, Contractor, and etc. Even though everybody just seemed to forget about it, it's still a pretty good oath with some nice mobility and moves. There's also been a recent strategy which some players are abusing, such as going extremely far up in the air and just using like your Petra's Anchor Crit or just some unfair moves such as Fireblade. Therefore, I'll be putting this oath in the low A tier. This oath could definitely use some buffs to its moves, but the wings are pretty good, so yeah. Next up is Fadetrimmer. Can we even count this one? I mean... Now Fadetrimmer will obviously be going into the S tier for lining up Fades, but other than that, Fadetrimmer is pretty mid. I'm pretty sure this oath was added as a joke since Agamatsu kept begging for it, but it was actually a surprise when this got added since there's not really any other joke oath like this. But that's not really what we're here to talk about. The actual thing we're here to talk about is actually how good this oath is. Going into Fadetrimmer's actual moveset, we have 2 moves and 1 miscellaneous item. Surprisingly, these moves are actually pretty good as they have some decent damage and they're pretty easy to land. Fadetrimmer also comes with hair products, which is pretty much just a support tool which you can heal people with, set them on fire, and etc. Now even though Fadetrimmer isn't really a bad oath, it's not really that great compared to the other oaths. Therefore, I'll be putting Fadetrimmer in the low B tier. Next up on the list, we have Silentheart. Now when you think of Silentheart, you most likely think of high damage and HP, so you'd assume it'd be good for ganking, right? Well, you're wrong. Alright, not entirely wrong, but Silentheart does lack some key features when it comes to ganking that make this oath pretty lacking. These being mobility and mix-ups because of the lack of mantras. As I mentioned before, Jetstriker is extremely good because of the mobility it gets, and Silentheart is pretty much just the polar opposite. Silentheart builds can still make up for this though. If you're using a build like Crystal Nemesis with air counter, you can probably compare it to the other oaths in the A tier. But it's just like the regular Silentheart build with something like a medium weapon or a light weapon even, is pretty mediocre at best, and it doesn't really hold up to like the other oaths. But therefore, I've decided to place Silentheart into the high B tier. Now I know this one is pretty debatable, so let me know in the comments what you think about this one. As I said before, probably a Curse Cleave Silentheart build or a heavy one is probably gonna be pretty good, but your regular one, yeah, not that great. For the final oath on the list, we have Oathless. Now Oathless is pretty much just like having no oath at all, except you get some minor buffs, such as 15% oath resistance and 2 wildcard slots and 10 HP. Oathless is the go-to oath if you're like a hybrid build and you want to use purely all attunement mantras, or if you just want the extra resistance and 10 HP. Overall though, Oathless is a pretty good oath, but it doesn't really provide anything special, so therefore I will be getting it the lowest ranking of all the oaths on this list. Now this isn't necessarily because Oathless is bad, it's more just so that it provides nothing else to your build. Therefore I will be putting Oathless in the C rank, and yeah. Here's the final oath tier list and chime tier list as well, in case you guys are wondering. Anyways, I have hidden a secret Destroy Man free in one of the oath rankings, so if you guys do find that, make sure to ping me in the comments with the timestamp, and I'll be giving you 5 Crit Blades, 5 Storm's Eyes, and some more legendary weapons. That was pretty much it for the video guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed, and I appreciate every single one of you for watching to the end. Anyways, that's it for me guys, and I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day.